Hi, I'm Dennis Dempsey. This is the Faith in Humanity podcast. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Faith in Humanity podcast. On this episode, I talked to a young man from India named Jayashankar. I really hope that I pronounced your name all right. And if I didn't, I apologize and I hope I didn't offend you. I actually, before recording this, I looked up how to pronounce his name, and I even listened to how to pronounce his name on YouTube, and I probably still butchered it anyway. This is the second week in a row of having a challenging name, and I'm sure this won't be the last time I get a challenging name because I talk to people from all over the world. So maybe moving forward, to avoid offending anyone, maybe I'll just put in the pronunciation from YouTube, so it would be this robotic woman's voice saying the person's name. It would go on this week I talked to a young man from India named Jayashankar. That'd be just to avoid any complications of any kind. So Jayashankar is a little bit of a unique guest. I do this periodically because I find it incredibly fascinating to know how religion and spiritual beliefs affect a society and a culture. So I did that back when I talked to Sergio about how the Catholic Church influences the culture and the politics of Ecuador. On this week, I talked to Jayashankar, who is more culturally Hindu. He was brought up Hindu and everything, but he doesn't really have deep roots in Hinduism. He doesn't really have belief in Hinduism, and that kind of comes out a little bit. He kind of expresses that, but he talks a lot about how Hinduism affects the culture of India, and I find that incredibly fascinating because, at least here in America, I would say that Christianity definitely affects the culture and the politics, certainly, and I kind of find that wrong because we're supposed to be this secular nation. We're supposed to not allow any religion to be above another religion. Every religion is supposed to be respected equally, and certainly a religion is not supposed to influence legislation, policy, or politics in the government, yet it does. And it's just incredibly fascinating to me how religion is this organization that's made by man, essentially. Organized religion is created by man, and so is government, yet these two forces created by man are essentially at war, and they kind of fluctuate and they kind of influence each other, and it's incredibly fascinating to me. So to learn about that dynamic from another country, I found it incredibly enlightening, and he really helped break down some things, and I went further and I actually did some more research into it because I was really interested in what he was talking about, and I would suggest everybody doing the same and learn about the rest of the world and what goes on in the rest of the world, and once you do that, you really realize how we're not really that unique or special, that the same problems that go on everywhere else, although different, they're kind of in the same vein. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this conversation because I certainly did. Anyway, okay, so I'm just gonna get right into it. We're running a little bit late on when we wanted to speak, wanted to talk and everything, which is totally fine, it happens. But so yeah, I reached out to you because you're living in India, of course, and you said in your Interpal's profile that you grew up Hindu, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But now you're more of just kind of a cultural Hindu? Is that accurate?
The thing is, Hinduism is more like a way of life. There are no written guidelines that a Hindu has to follow of any of those kind of things. So being a Hindu is I don't feel any difference or the Hinduism, that any particular aspect of Hinduism coming into life as such. I don't know how to put it in words clearly. Yeah, one thing I can say that, yeah, when I was a kid, the way they're bringing me up, a few things, there were a lot of false beliefs, so used to do things which I didn't know what they're doing it and all. But right now, that is not there.
And can you kind of, I guess, define a little bit of way of life? It's like.
Yeah. Can compare it with something and say like, for Muslims, they have to do namaz 5 times a day, and like every Friday afternoon they go to the mosque.
Yeah.
Whereas Christian, it's kind of a rule that Christians every Sunday they go to the church. Mm-hmm. But for Hindus, there is nothing like that. Like, a lot of people do go to the temple on a daily basis, some people on certain days, but even if you don't go, it's fine. So there is no particular compulsion that you have to do this or you have to do that. That's why when you told me about this, I was just thinking like, okay, if someone asks me what is Hinduism, what am I going to say? So there is nothing specific like that. Or then again, and if it's Christianity, there's Bible. So that is one, or you can say the only book in which a lot of ideas have been told and all. But in Hinduism, there is no one particular single book. There are a lot of textbooks, there are a lot of mythologies, these put into stories and all. So through all things that you need to have lead a very good life. A lot of things like the yoga. I mean, it's for all-round development. So it's okay. One aspect I can tell you, small things which I later learned. What is the importance of that? So when I was young, there was where I lived. There's a temple very near to my home. Mm-hmm. So all of us every day in the morning after taking a bath, we go to the temple and pray. So that time it was more like a belief, because what we are all taught is that temple is the place where God lives, and God is the one who is looking after you. And if you're not pleasing the God, I mean, bad things could come to you. So God was like, you can say, a king or something of a character of that sort, to whom you pray that good things will come to you. Let him, please remove all the bad things from my life. Such kind of things. But as I grew up, I started challenging whether the concept God actually exists or not. Is it just a telltale kind of thing, or if there is a God, or if there is at all an external supreme power? Mm-hmm. So I started seeing going to the temple as something else. I mean, it's not a place where you go and tell God something. So that concept did not seem right. It didn't seem logical. So then I read about it. So what science says is temples, they are constructed in places, not in every place, but places where the concentration of the electromagnetic field is higher. And every temple there will be an idol, the god form, which is made of usually stone or some metal, like a mix of different metals. So that is kept at the spot where the concentration of this field is maximum, and made using the selected, proper stones are used for that. There's a lot of science behind it. And then there's an inner sanctum. So inside that the concentration would be more, and then you go there, you stand in front of it, so it radiates these electromagnetic waves into your body. So that is good for your heart or your body. This is what I've read. Most people give this explanation. I may not be very accurate while describing it, but this is the whole idea behind it. And then the first thing in temple, they have something we call it tirtham. It's like analogous to how you're given wine in churches. So this will be kept, this is usually water with basil leaves in it, or maybe sometimes a bit of camphor in it. So that's the first thing so according to our way of life, in the morning when you get up, you're supposed to take a shower, take a bath, a shower, and then go to the temple. And this thing in the day, which has basil leaves and camphor. So that should be the first thing that you take. You have a very less quantity of it. So that is again said to be good. and you go around the inner sanctum. You take 3 rounds or just walk around. So that because the electromagnetic field is going in concentric circles around it. So you go through that path where you absorb these magnetic waves. So these are the scientific parts of going to a temple. So that seemed logical to me. Then I realized that, okay, so people were telling us to do these things so that these good benefit, you get benefited because of these things, but they were giving it in a different form, say, under the name of God.
Okay, so let me just understand this fully, because you're definitely saying a lot of things.
Yeah. And I don't know if it might have sounded very vague to you. I'm not that good at putting things into words, properly explaining. I'm trying my best to do.
No, you're fine. So you're saying that they build these temples on electromagnetic field, like concentrated electromagnetic fields, because there's some power, some almost like, I guess you could say it's kind of like a spiritual thing where it's like there's this hidden force that they're building it on, and the purposes of that. I'm sorry, I may have missed the purposes of building the temples on that. It's just because of there's energy there. There's certain kinds of external energy there that they somehow figure out with these stones and everything. You were saying, right? Is that pretty accurate? Okay. And that's really interesting. I've never
the clear idea about this. It's better to read about it, so that I was just telling you, reiterating what I've read. So if you read about it, you'll get a clear idea, a better idea about this. I was just using this example to tell you one thing.
I got it. And do you think that you could, and you said that Hinduism's like it's a way of life, kind of like Buddhism, but Buddhism doesn't really have a god, whereas you guys have many gods, or at least one supreme being, right, that takes on many forms, if that's pretty accurate. Pretty much that many people in India have many different beliefs within Hinduism, right? They all believe different things about Hinduism. Is that pretty correct? Yeah. It's pretty, what's the word? It's kind of very loose interpretations. Like you can interpret it in many different ways.
Yes.
The thing. Okay. So did you know what's the common thread? Like what would you say is one thing that all Hindus believe in? Is there one thing that really connects everyone?
Sorry?
Is there something that connects everyone? Like one belief that you pretty much stop any Hindu, whether it be in India, America, China, if there is even some in China, you stop them and they're just like, yeah, we all believe this one thing, or this is like a very common.
Can you give me an example for the same in Christianity or any other religion, so that I could understand what exactly are you asking for?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I would say, because I grew up Christian, kind of very similar to you. I grew up very, very Christian. I was going to church every Sunday. I was really involved in the church, and then I kind of began questioning things, and then I kind of left the faith. I'm an agnostic now, but I would say every single Christian, if you stopped a Christian anywhere in the world, I think that they would say something that they can all agree on is that Jesus was God on earth. That's something that is like a firm truth in Christianity. That is to be a Christian, you have to believe that Jesus is God. So that's something, and everything else can be kind of interpreted, what did Jesus mean here in the Bible, or what did this passage mean, and you can take your own interpretations, but at the end of the day, every Christian will say Jesus is God. Maybe in Hinduism, as an example, maybe everybody believes in one supreme being, like I believe Brahma, or maybe karma or dharma is a common belief in all Hinduism, something like that maybe.
Okay, now I get it. Before going to that, so I told you, I read about Hinduism. Then I understood actually Hinduism is based on the ancient Vedic books. So, but the problem is the current generation, very less people know about the basic books. So, in general, if you say Hinduism, like common people, it is and the one thing common is you go to the temple, you pray to the god. But the actual what Hinduism is based on are the Vedic texts, which contain a lot of information. But no one is taught about all these things. And then again, in Hinduism itself, there are like different people follow different things. So, in the one concept, the concept of dharma, karma, and all is one basic part of Hinduism. So there are certain sections of people who believe that what you're searching for, or the supreme being, or the God that you're seeking, that is actually within you. Or there are certain people who think that the whole universe is that one God. So different sects, different thinkers or the philosophers, ancient times, a few people had these different ideologies.
Gotcha.
So if you really actually want to know what the proper Hinduism is, then then you have to the essence of it are there in the Vedic textbooks. There are Vedas, and then there is a book called Bhagavad Gita, which contains a lot of information. If you read it, which would help you become a better person mentally and physically. So this is why it talks a lot about the spiritual part of you. So if you read all these things, you'll get to know, like, it talks about controlling your mind, or realizing the higher realms of spirituality, and talks about the soul, the purpose of life, all these things. But in current day, no kid is taught about all these things. So even otherwise, I was thinking, I am born a Hindu, I was raised up as a Hindu, but I know very less about Hinduism. Actually, last week I was reading, every day when I was getting free time, I was reading a little bit about this.
So you grew up in it, it's kind of just in the culture and everything. That's still interesting, because I still want to... One of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you was because of the culture of Hinduism. Like in America, we have a culture of Christianity, and that drives everything in America. And I disagree with that, because I don't think that there should be religion in politics and forming like laws and everything. But Christianity is a big driving force. It's almost like it's nearly impossible for someone to become president without at least saying that they're a Christian. Or in America, there's laws and legislation being passed with, it's like people have these religious convictions, and like, just for example, like in America, a few years ago, they legalized gay marriage, and gay marriage was definitely fought against because of people had, Christian beliefs against it. So you growing up in India, the main religion, of course, is Hinduism. I guess the second one is Islam. I guess Islam is pretty prominent in India, maybe closer to the Pakistan border. But so would you say that like Hinduism is a driving force in politics there and in the culture there?
I think it hasn't played that much a very major role while making the laws.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to think of any incidents which suggest I haven't thought on this matter before.
And I guess because Hinduism may be a little bit different, because it's a little bit more loose than, you can practice it in so many different ways, that it was like Christianity tends to be a little bit more black and white, a little bit more concrete. Whereas it seems that Hinduism can be a little bit, malleable, you can kind of change it and bend it, and that's okay. And okay, so you wouldn't say it's as big of a driving force in politics, but what about like social issues? Like, I don't know I honestly don't know what the holy books or, Hindus think of, homosexuality or maybe, women's rights or something like that. Because I know that a lot of religions, and Christianity has been guilty of this, of like, ownership of women and everything. So I don't know, maybe not so much politics wise it's a driving force, but maybe within the culture.
One thing I can say, but then again, it's not completely there was a recent happening where the central government of India they made a new not a law, it's called something else. So according to that, the sale of cattle for slaughtering has been banned. The sale of cattle in the slaughtering houses has been banned because a lot of people were protesting, and a lot of people eat beef. Northern parts of India, the major people belongs to Hinduism, and according to them, and a lot of them are vegetarians also. So according to them, cow is a very sacred animal. And so beef is usually the meat of buffalo, but yeah, certain places cows are also being killed for that. So they are against this. So because of this, a lot of protests were happening. That's one social issue. And when this government, this protest or in many places, people have even been killed for buying beef or eating beef, and this killed by Hindu people.
Wow.
So that has happened in India a couple of years back or something. So
just for eating beef, just for eating cow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
For eating beef. And beef, it's not necessarily cow, it's usually buffalo, but yeah, even cow meat would be there in it sometimes.
So eating meat at all, you get killed?
No, yeah, if they eat chicken, people won't say anything. They can, if they eat goat, mutton, but this, because beef contain cow, Hindu people consider it as something sacred, and they are against it.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah. That is one thing. And
are you a vegetarian, or do you eat meat?
I was brought up as a vegetarian.
Okay.
Right now, I prefer vegetarian food because I was not used to eating meat. I don't find it that tasty, or I don't have a craving for it. But at times I eat, as in if I'm going out with my friends, I'll have a bite.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm a vegetarian as well. So maybe I'm a Hindu. I don't even know it. That could be it. if it's so loose. I mean, if it's so like maybe I am a Hindu. Okay, so your parents are Hindus, right?
Yes.
Do you have any siblings? Do you have any brothers, sisters?
No.
No. Okay, so you're an only child. Okay, so they're Hindu.
Yeah.
And they're practicing. They're like still very much, doing the prayers and everything.
Yeah, I'll give you an example, like how the proper traditional Hinduism way of life. I'll tell you what my dad's or my grandfather's, their daily life, or how they do.
Yeah.
They get up early in the morning. So in Hinduism itself, there are different castes, as in subdivisions. Initially, so the thing of subdivisions came that you can trace it back to the olden days. The people were divided into different castes based on their work, what job they were doing. So certain sections of people were doing this kind of job. So based on that, it were divided. So the higher caste is called Brahmins. So Brahmins are, in earlier times, they were priests. So they studied this Vedic texts and all, and they did pujas in the temples. They were so they are called Brahmins, the higher class. So there are different classes. So the caste into which I belong is called a warrior. So not the WRRIOR. So our job was very closely related to the temple. So my grandfather and his father and all, his main job was at the temple, where we're cleaning up the temple and then making garlands for the idol, all these kinds of work. So we are very closely related to temple from their time itself, my grandfather's and his elder people's time itself. So my grandfather and all, early morning gets up like 4 a.m. or something. Then they go to the river, take a dip there, get clean, and then go to the temple to pray. Then they come back home. They make garlands for the idol. So for that particular, they make garlands and give it to the morning. The temple is usually open. In the morning, it opens around 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. and it closes around 9 or 10 a.m. It varies in different places. Then again, nowadays temples have kind of become a business as well. So if a temple is very famous, a lot of people are coming there, then their opening hours are very high. They remain open till 1 p.m. then close for a couple of hours. Afternoon again they open at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. like that. But the temple near our place, it's a small one, so they closes at 10 a.m. So after that, in the temple, the priest makes food which is offered to the god, as in considering the god as a person, he feeds the food. That kind of concept. So after that, the food will be kept there. So that food belongs to us. So then he brings back the food home. That only rice and sometimes something we call payasam, as in rice mixed with jaggery and a sweet kind of thing. So, and after that, they pluck flowers, they make garlands for the evening. So evening, again, new garlands are given. It's changed. Yeah, so that was his life, daily life. And then in the morning, in our house, there will be almost all Hindus' house, there will be a corner or a separate room where the pictures of gods are kept. In the morning itself, we light a oil lamp, keep it there. Then children are made to sit there and chant the few mantras or the prayers. In the morning as well as in the evening. During the dusk time also, this lamp is lit and children are asked to sit and say the prayers for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So these prayers are actually certain prayers. This again I have heard somewhere. I don't know how much it is true. These letters that you pronounce have a kind of power. So when you pronounce them, it gives you positive energy. I've read it, I've heard it long back. I want to reread it and get my facts right. But this could be the reason why people are asked to chant prayers.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, definitely send me a link to that, because I'd be really curious to read about that. Okay, so the cleaning of the temple and the garlands and kind of getting everything ready, that's all volunteer, right? They obviously don't get paid for that. That's just this is what you do because you're in this caste.
Sorry?
That's all volunteer, right? Or they're kind of, hey, you're expected to do this because this is the caste that you were born into.
Nowadays, people are getting paid for that. That has become like a mainstream job itself. Nowadays, a lot of temples have brought under an authority, and people are deployed for this work. People belonging to our caste are deployed to this work through a formal procedure and are paid wages for that. But earlier in their days, it was not like that.
So Hinduism was really based off, or was built off of this caste system, right? That the priests were on top, and then there are people lower, and each lower person had their own jobs. So I guess the bottom was just people that were like unclean, diseased, or disabled, something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's kind of true now. Is there a lot of racism or anything against people that are in the lower caste and the higher caste? Does that happen? Okay.
Yeah, that is happening. But one thing, let me interrupt that and tell you, I don't think this caste system, I think that could more have been a practice which evolved but not as in like mentioned about in the books. As in Hinduism is mainly based on the Vedic books, but this caste system, I don't think anything about this caste or such things have been discussed in the books, but these just evolved as people started living and different people had different jobs.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's not okay. Gotcha. It's not established in the actual holy books, but it kind of formulated out. It's kind of I mean, I feel like religion can do that. Sometimes they can use justification, like they use religion to justify certain acts. I mean, we saw that in America with slavery. Hey, the Bible says that this is okay, or whatever. And maybe that was potentially what happened in India. In the beginning, it's like, hey, I have all this stuff, so I shouldn't be doing certain things. So you lower people, you have to be doing this stuff.
Exactly. And you asked me about the racism thing. That is happening. So there is a section of people who belong to a very lower level. They're called the Dalits. So a lot of racism is happening against those people. Mm-hmm. They are being attacked, they're being beaten up, even murdered because of these attacks.
And they're still Indian, right? They just happen to be in a lower. They just happen to be in a lower caste. Really?
Yes.
Huh. See, that fascinates me, because a lot of racism, a lot of problems, and maybe racism isn't the right word, but it seems that a lot of racism and everything, it's like, it's because there are people that are the others, right? It's like people that are different from us. But these are people that are Indian. These are people that are, the same as you. They just happen to not have what you have, And I'm guessing, so those are like more rural farmer people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you live in a city or a suburb, or?
Right now I live in a city, but I was born and brought up in a village.
In the village. Okay, so now you live in a city. Okay. And can you move up in the caste system, or is it pretty much you're kind of stuck?
No, it's you're born into one caste, you belong to that caste.
You belong to that caste. There's no moving up.
Yeah, if a person of a higher caste marries a person of a lower caste, then the child will be of the lower caste, usually.
Wait, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you just repeat it?
If a person from a higher caste marries a person of a lower caste, then the child or the children they give birth to would be of the lower caste.
Wow. Okay. So it's really like they're considered tainted. Almost, it's like it carries in the bloodline. Wow. And but I'm guessing, does that happen very often, where someone from a higher caste will marry someone from a lower caste?
Yeah.
Oh, that does happen.
That does happen, and the caste system is more prevalent in those times when people of the caste did the work of that particular caste. Like there's a caste for the people who wash clothes. There's another caste of people who are merchants. But right now, people of different castes do different jobs. They don't stick to that particular job.
Okay.
Like I am working in a company. But according to my task, I should have been doing that cleaning thing in the temple, but I'm not doing that. So right now, it's not that prevalent. Right now, the caste system, where it mainly comes is for the jobs, and like different jobs many jobs, the government jobs have reservation for these castes. Because the people, I mean, in those days, earlier days, people of those castes, like especially mainly the lower classes. Mm-hmm. So those people are not treated nicely. Those people are financially poor, or some caste which is considered a minority. Not many people are there. So for them to get enough opportunities, equal opportunities, we have reservations, say for jobs or while applying to government colleges, universities, there were reservations. So this much seats have been reserved for that particular caste. So that thing is happening even now. Apart from that, the caste system is not prevalent in its essence form right now. And usually while searching for partners, as in if my parents, if they're looking for brides for me, I mean prospective girls to get married to, they would obviously look a person from the same caste.
So being in the caste system, it affects like employment and everything. Like if you applied for a job and I guess I don't know how I guess you don't have to disclose which caste you belong to, or is there like a place on the application where you're like, there's a place that you have to disclose it?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So So you have to say I belong to this caste, which is so bizarre because it's like I just happen to be born.
If there is a box which you don't have to explicitly say this caste, but you can mention if you belong to a general category. General category means all those upper class castes, or there is an other backward class. And then there other backward gets a reservation, and then there is a scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, which is at the lowest level. They get more reservations, so you have to tick the particular column because that's for the reservation thing.
Huh?
Did you get it?
Yeah. I think I understand it.
So okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, but this is all new to me, so I'm trying to understand it. So you don't have to actually disclose specifically what caste you belong to.
No, I don't have to.
You don't have to, but it'll be general caste, like kind of just a.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I'm filling a form, I tick on the general.
Okay. And can that harm you in getting a job then?
No.
Okay. Which is just fascinating to me that these old set of laws that were established, I guess.
Just one thing. This caste system, this is not just in Hinduism. Even people from Christianity as well as Islam, they also are under this caste system thing. So you cannot, properly relate it to Hinduism.
No.
The joke thing I have told you.
Yeah. No. There's definitely hierarchies in every religion for sure. Absolutely. I just haven't heard where it's like kind of disclosing things where it's a decision making and finding a partner and everything. That's like sometimes across religious, if a Christian wanted to marry a Jewish person, there may be some issues with that. But I think within Christianity, if once again, if someone's a devout Christian, if their faith is really serious, then as long as the other person is Christian, then it's usually okay. So there's not this like within it. Typically, it's a little bit different. I understand what you're saying. It is a little bit different in Christianity and other places, but I'm sure that like other religions, it's more prominent as well. I'm definitely not putting all the blame on Hinduism. Trust me.
Here, at least in my place, the state where I belong to, so I belong from the state of Kerala, where all the three religions exist in, same quantity. You can say 30% of Hindus are there, 30% Christians, and 30% Muslims. So there also in Christianity, see my friend, so recently a friend of mine got married. He's a Christian, and his girlfriend, she was also Christian, but they belong to different castes in Christianity. Different communities in Christianity.
Yeah.
So then that girl's parents, they were not agreeing to it because he's from a different community.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. It's a different, like there's different sects of Christianity. So like maybe a Lutheran person isn't really supposed to marry a Catholic person, or I understand what you're saying. Okay, yeah, I understand. So your parents choose your bride for you. You mentioned that. I just want to touch on that really fast. Your parents. So you guys do arranged marriages still there, or is it kind of a?
Usually yes. More marriages are arranged, but even love marriages happen. That have been there earlier also. Even now, but right now it's changing more. A lot of people are going for love marriage. The person, they themselves find their partner for them. But otherwise, the general trend is arranged marriage.
Do you trust your parents?
I haven't even talked to them about all these things, as in like marriage thing. But yeah, I know my time comes. I want to, even if they're finding someone, I want to date her, get to know that person properly before taking the decision.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was kind of funny. I made a joke to my best friend's parents. I was like, if I'm 30 and I haven't found anyone, I'll just let you guys arrange marriage me, because I don't personally trust my parents to choose someone. Definitely don't trust them. So, do you think that at some point, when you get older, you'll be cleaning the temple or something when you're a parent or something, or you kind of just what does your parents think? What does your grandfather, your father kind of think about you being like, you know what, this Hinduism thing, I don't know if it's for me, you know?
No, we never. That's one thing again. I cannot say I'm not following Hinduism. I cannot say I am following Hinduism. Hinduism is just the way you live. It tells you like these things are good. If you do that, it's good for your life. It's just that. That's how I see Hinduism. And the essence of Hinduism is something completely different that very less people are seeking today. They're more stuck with the concept of God and temples.
Okay. So the
extent of Hindus people are having in their life now. There are very less people who actually tries to understand the good things. But this book, Bhagavad Gita, it's supposed to be one of the best books because it gives you a lot of information, a lot of wisdom. But very few people read it. I've read it. I haven't read it. So these things, in my parents' days, when they were kids and all, they used to read all these books and all. But now that is not happening. Nowadays, kids, very few have read these books. So they are actually losing the essence of Hinduism.
What did you say? What was the last thing?
I mean, the current generation, the kids, they are not reading these books which tells you a lot about good things that you need in your life. So, they're not getting a clear idea of Hinduism.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And I feel like a lot of religions take that path where the older generation tends to be more passionate about reading the holy books and everything and understanding their religion more, and then the younger generation has more of a loose interpretation of things. I talked to one other Hindu, and she was kind of saying the same thing, that it is very loose. It's kind of like more, hey, I could be a Hindu. Anybody could be a Hindu as long as you're kind of a good person and everything. Do you know what that means to be a good person in Hinduism? You know what I mean? Like maybe like, for example, to help you answer the question, like, there are parts in the Bible that talk about how, you need to clothe the naked, feed the hungry, help the poor, and stuff like that. So, like, if someone asked me that, I'd be like, well, Christianity says to, love your enemies, don't be angry at them, don't hold like vengeance in your heart and hatred, and maybe make sure that you feed the poor and shelter the homeless, and if someone maybe donate clothes, like, that's what I would say the Bible would say to be a good person. Is there something in Hinduism where it's like, hey, in Hinduism they believe that doing these things really make you a good person? This is like what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, this is being said. So you already mentioned about dharma. So dharma means your duties, something that you should do. So this has been, I haven't read, but I have just read the gist of it. Has been mentioned, like the qualities that you need, the kindness and compassion. So, like how it has described in detail, like feed the poor and all, that I haven't read anywhere. But a good person, you can say someone who follows his dharma.
Oh yes, and Dharma. To understand this, Dharma is your path.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dharma is your path, the path that you're supposed to be doing, the thing that you're supposed to be doing with your life.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a way for if that's like, and that's how you achieve? I'm trying to remember the word that she used. Getting out of the reincarnation cycle.
Moksha.
What?
Moksha.
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 Yeah. The 4 pillars of Hinduism can be said as Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So Dharma is what I already told. Artha means the prosperity in your life. Artha is both the job you do, the money you make, or prospering in your life, achieving success. And Kama is the desires. Let it be materialistic or immaterialistic. Sorry? Not just sexual. Sexual, all these desires that you have, that is Kama. And Moksha is the liberation from all this. Or you can say attaining Nirvana.
Okay, so... Alright, so I'm just trying to understand. Karma I always thought was like, good things happen if you do good things, right? Or bad things happen if you do bad things. So it's like, it's the consequences of your actions. Okay. And then Dharma is the path that you're supposed to be on. And then can you just explain the other ones quickly, because I'm trying to understand.
Okay, Artha.
Yeah.
That's about prospering in your life.
Prospering, okay. And how do you achieve that prospering in your life?
No, Artha is what you are doing in your life. Like you are doing a job, and you are getting a name. You are earning money, you're earning name, you're earning fame.
Okay, gotcha.
So
It's life. It's you living life. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And Kama is the desire part of it.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. And to find your Dharma, because that seems to be the, like, in my mind at least, and this may be completely wrong, but in my mind it seems that Dharma is the thing that you look for. You know, Dharma is like what every Hindu wants to find. You want to find your Dharma. Is there ways? Do people go to the temple? Do they talk to the priest to help them figure that out?
No, right now what actually happens in temples are considered as places where God is there, so you go there, you pray, and what basically praying means, you are asking the God that may good thing happen to me and everyone surrounding me. If you have any troubles, you tell him and ask him to get it cleared and all. So that's actually what is happening in temples right now. But considering what I know, the scientific part of temple, what I think should actually be happening is, you go to a temple, you should just there. If you go to a temple, it's a place of positive energy. So you engage in there so that you increase your level of positive energy in you. And in temples earlier, they used to sing bhajans and all. So all these activities, bhajans and all, when you sing it, the sound and all these increases the positivity. But right now, temples are not acting as what it is intended to be.
Okay. So in your mind, temples meant to where you go and you receive this positive energy, and you're saying temple is not that right now.
Yeah, I don't associate temple to gods.
Well, I'm sorry, repeat that?
Because the concept of, I don't associate a temple to a god. I don't consider it as a place where the god resides.
Gotcha.
Because God itself is a concept. If such a being is there, then it is there everywhere. The whole universe is we can say, a supreme power. So a temple is, you need not limit it to just these places. For temples are places of positive energy.
Gotcha.
And this I'm talking about the temples, especially in Kerala, because in the northern part and all, if you go, and how you feel is completely different from the ones that are there in Kerala. So there I don't. Yeah. So in Kerala at least, because in Kerala the temples I told you the inner sanctum. So no one is allowed to go inside the inner sanctum except for the priest. And the priest who usually go there in the morning, he'll take a bath. With a clean body and mind only he enters. And the priest they follow. As in they're always vegetarian. They don't eat meat. So, and they keep up their cleanliness and all.
So you mentioned, so Dharma is you figure out what path you're supposed to be on. That's like the path that your life is supposed to take, this life at least. And how do you figure that out? How do you find that out? You just kind of hope that you find it?
Dharma is the right way of living a life. So in these books, just like how we know that you have to be kind and compassionate to people, you have to help the needy. So these are the things that one should be doing. Everyone would say that yes, that is the right way, that is the right thing. So like this dharma, I think what all things one should do would have been inscribed in any of these old textbooks. Or, well, a lot of it you can just arrive at using your common sense. Okay, this is right, this is wrong. If there are two things in front of you, from your common sense you can. So those right things come under dharma.
Okay, so it's like, okay, I gotcha. So if you have two paths to take down, you take the more righteous path, the path of virtue, the path of goodness, and that's the Dharma. Okay, so it should be self-explanatory. As long as you're living a good life, you're living your Dharma. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so quickly, is there any like one? Do you know of any one teaching, or maybe a few teachings? Maybe like a proverb or something in Hinduism that people can kind of adopt into their life now, that they can kind of listen and be like, that's a good thing to adopt in your life. I would say, for example, in Christianity, there's the teaching, love your neighbor, love your enemies. That's what I would say. I would say, hey, love people, don't be filled with hatred. That's something from the Bible that I would say is good. That's something that Christianity is supposed to teach, that I would tell people to follow. So I don't know if you can think of anything.
Like that, this book Bhagavad Gita, it is made up of a lot of these verses. There are some 25,000 verses or something in it.
Wow.
So these verses are similar to the proverbs that you were talking about. So I cannot just pick one, and I myself haven't read the whole of it. I've read a few parts long back and I completely forgot. But yeah, that is one which contains such verses.
Okay, so you're saying, can you just repeat that book? I'll actually probably link it then to let people look at it or whatever.
Bhagavad Gita. BHAGVAD
Okay, great. Yeah. I'll link it so people can find it. Yeah, sorry.
This book actually it said that you've heard of Lord Krishna, right? Have you?
I'm sorry, what?
Lord Krishna is one Hindu god.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, the god you can say the three main Hindu gods. That is the Brahma, who is a creator. Then Lord Vishnu, who you can say takes care of you when you're growing up, or who looks after the world. And then there's Lord Shiva, who is called the Lord of Destruction, who destroys evil. So Krishna is said to be one incarnation. This Lord Vishnu has 10 avatars. Avatars as in 10 forms in which he came into this world during a crisis situation to help the world or to save the world. So Lord Krishna is said to be one of those forms of Vishnu, like how he came into the world to save the world at one point of time. So this, are you following me?
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm following.
Yeah, so there is this one book, book called Mahabharata. It tells a story which happened a long time back, about this two families and the war which happened in between these two families. So Lord Krishna, so in this one family who were the winning side of the war, so there are 5 people, as in 5 princes. So Krishna, one of those princes, name is Arjuna, and during the war, Krishna, he was one main person in the war. So Krishna was the charioteer of Arjuna for the war. So all these, whatever is written in Bhagavad Gita said that during the war, these are the things that Krishna told to Arjuna, the messages he gave Arjuna for him to get things clear and to win the war. So all these things are written in that book. Because Arjuna is said to be a little egoistic and not having a very clear idea. So Krishna was, through these verses, he was showing Arjuna the right path. Mm-hmm. This is the story behind this book.
Gotcha. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I haven't heard that. heard of that before. That's interesting. I definitely have to look into that. And read about it. I knew that there were some wars fought. I kind of was a little bit aware of that. And also that so. The person that comes during the time of destruction, that's natural disasters, that's man-made disasters, any sort of disasters. There's been
any sort of disaster.
Okay.
Any sort of disaster. And the one interesting thing about this 10 avatars is that his first avatar was a fish, and the next one was a turtle, and the third one is the pig with horn. So if you look at it, started from a fish, and his last avatar is a man. So the 5th avatar is a mix of a man and lion. It's called a Narasimham, half man, half lion. So his 10 avatars actually follows the path of evolution, starting from fish until a man.
It follows evolution. That's interesting. Like you said, it seems that there is some parts, or there's some aspects of Hinduism that relies on science. Like you said, with the electromagnetic fields and everything. So maybe there is some science behind it.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Faith in Humanity podcast. First of all, as always, thank you all so much for listening. We all really appreciate it over here. But if you could just take a second of your time to just give us a rating on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts, that would help us a lot, and it would also help people find our podcast and to expand this community. To be a part of this community, make sure to follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook at the Faith in Humanity Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube at the Faith in Humanity Podcast. And we are on Twitter at TFIH_podcast. You can also email us at tfih.podcast@gmail.com. By being part of this community, you get a backstage look to the podcast. I'll post up pictures of things that the guests have sent me, or comments or quotes from them that didn't make it into the podcast, or even sometimes some updates. Also, I'll post up just articles, news articles about, specifically in relation to the episodes, but also about just religion and spirituality around the world. So I definitely suggest just being a part of that. It's an awesome community, and you definitely will not regret it. All right, until next time, stay safe and peace be with you.